We out here, people. We out here. Happy, happy, happy Saturday to each and every one of you. How are you guys doing? How are you folks doing? How are you folks doing? We want to know how you guys are doing today. Happy Saturday to each and every one of you. Thanks for joining our international podcast, Below the Belt. Who vex lose? Who vex vex? We out here. Quite a few things to discuss today. Happy Sabbath. Those of you who are celebrating Sabbath, many happy returns. Beatrice Selby. Beatrice is always the first person, folks, on these live programs. Beatrice is always there waiting patiently. And Beatrice says, "What a nice warm day here in Queens, but tomorrow will be snow and cold. I'm waiting." We're happy that the weather is good where you are, Beatrice. Good to see Aubrey Stevens and Claire Alexis Chomley Richmond is with us as well. And we have Onessa Wardeen. And with Onessa, we have, is it Ichi? Who's Ichi now? Are you related to Sue? Ichi, are you related to Sue? Good to see Zorina Beniram with us as well. Good to see you, Zarina. And we have joining us also Vashti Megnot. Vashti is joining us from Waterloo, Canada. Waterloo, Canada. We have Osman Edwards as well joining us. And we have Pauline Chalmers, Dennis Primo, Derek Singh, and Amanda Daniels, Karen Gordon, Vanessa Johnson, and all the other beautiful, fantastic folks like Susan London and George Barker. Belly Clark, folks. Belly Clark called me yesterday, Belly, and we had a wonderful, delightful conversation. I ain't telling you what we talk about, but I will just let you guys know we had a conversation like Sue and them folks, right? We had an up and up conversation. Great to hear from you, Belly, yesterday. Very nice name, Mbelly. I hope I'm calling it right. Marilyn C. Fort, good to see you. And is it Beakim Summer or Sumner? Sumner. We have Derek Griffith with us as well, and Samoa Williams. Earl Walcott is here too, and Basil. Right? Basil is here as well. Is it Euclides? Geron? Euclides is a Greek name as far as I know. Greek Cherry Basking Greenwich is here with us as well, and we're tremendously privileged to have you guys. We're going to be talking today with Ganesh Mahi Paul. Folks, Sugate continues. Sugate continues. We're going to be talking a little bit about that a little later on in our program as well. And Stabroek News this morning, in a very, very scathing editorial, said that there remain serious allegations, right? There remain serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects, right? Or rather, these remain serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects are being considered. There's Sugate, the allegations of bribery and, wheeling and dealing, influence peddling, corruption. Stabroek News today in their editorial. The editorial was Vice and the VP is the header for the editorial there in Stabroek News. Vice and the VP. And Stabroek News says these remain serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects are being considered. Yep, remember, according to Vice News journalist Isobel, the allegations are that to get contracts for these big projects, these big infrastructural projects, they got to pay up 500,000 US is the lower end of the payments. 500,000 US is the lower end. And you heard, folks, the journalists put those questions to the vice president. And his first response was, "Oh, Sue? Stabroek News says that these remain serious allegations. The alligators are out. Serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects are being considered. But, folks, before we get into that, and before we draw in Ganesh my Paul, the one and only member of parliament who has responsibility as shadow minister for local government and regional affairs, before he comes, we can talk a little bit too about Dharmlal. Dharmlal Gate. That's a lot of gates. The people we got Dharmlal Gate, Sugate. We can talk a little bit about that as well with Ganesh. But, folks, we picked up and we were watching early on Little Guyana News. Little Guyana News. And they were talking to some vendors there in Port Morant Market. Folks, things tight. Things tight. And a lot of Caribbean leaders are coming in for scrutiny. Things tight. I'm having some flavored water at my end. Flavored water, folks. Things tight. And so we were following Little Guyana News, them interviewing some folks there by Port Morant Market. Port Morant Market, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. And as I said, a lot of Caribbean leaders coming on the flack from their citizenry for the way they've been managing their economies. Things tight a lot of places. It's more tight here than in many places, but things tight a lot of places, and we're going to be looking at some of what is happening in Jamaica as well. So we're going to start with Jamaica. We touch on Port Morant, and then we got Ganesh Mahi Paul, the Honorable Member of Parliament, going to be joining us on Dharmlal Gate and Sugate. Folks, how is the weather where you are? How is the weather where you are? You guys know we love weather.com. We love it. Because when those guys say it's going to be sunny, it's usually sunny. The meteorological folks back here, not so accurate. But that being said, according to weather.com, in the national capital city of Georgetown, in the cooperative oil producing Republic of Guyana, where we broadcast from, folks, where we bring you our international podcast Below the Belt, they're telling us it's 27 degrees outside, 27 degrees outside with a 16% chance it's going to rain. They say it's 27 degrees outside, but it feels like 29. 27 degrees outside where we are, but it feels like 29. And overnight, the percentage where rainfall is expected, it goes up as the day unfolds, as the day picks up. 16% chance is going to rain into the afternoon, 19% chance is going to rain into the evening, and there's a 46% chance is going to rain overnight. Remember, we told you that here. And according to the daily forecast, there's a 36% chance it's going to rain tomorrow, a 64% chance is going to rain on Monday, a 64% chance is going to rain on Monday. And then on Tuesday, when we have that International Energy Conference starting locally here in as I said, the Cooperative Oil Producing Republic of Guyana, there's a 90% chance it's going to rain on Tuesday. So this international conference looks as though it's going to be off to a very, very rainy start on Tuesday, according to weather.com. 90% chance it's going to rain on Tuesday, 64% chance it's going to rain on Monday, and a 36% chance it's going to rain tomorrow. But today, they're telling us, today, as the day unfolds, into the afternoon hours, there's a 48% chance we're going to have some rain. So those of you who are in Georgetown in particular, you might want to just pack that umbrella or raincoat as you guys are coming out. Let us know how you guys are receiving us where you are, and how is the weather where you are. Prince Hodari, Pauline Chalmers says it's cold and snowing. Donna David, how you doing? Good afternoon to you too. Rita Singh says good afternoon to all of us. Good to see you. Rita says good afternoon to all valid viewers. Good afternoon to all valid viewers. Folks, we're going to be talking a bit about Sugate. Beatrice Selby says, I'm on board. Good to see you, Don Raymond, and all the other fantastic folks. Folks, we did say to you that we're picking up on some of the coverage through Little Guyana News of some of what is unfolding there in, is it Quarantine, Corriverton? Port Morant, to be precise. Port Morant. And the vendors there at the Port Morant market, They're complaining about neglect by elected officials, including the NDC and the RDC. Wow, Armagon, your name, call him, boy. Mr. Armagon, Mr. David Armagon, the regional chairman, y'all name calling. The Port Morant market officials are complaining about neglect of by elected officials, including the NDC there in Port Morant and the RDC. Now, folks, if you know it, these are areas, as far as I'm aware, are controlled by the incumbent administration, the current regime, the PPP. And here are the vendors. You know, them boys ain't got time with the ordinary man. You know, it's the man in the street that always suffer. This small man, them boys have no time with them. It's the man in the street, this small man. So here are the vendors complaining about neglect. This is not, we labeled, how we like it or not, it's APNU AFC, right? This is not APNU AFC stronghold or people talking. This is the vendors in Port Morant. We want you guys to take a listen. Take a listen to what the vendor said. Again, speaking with Little Guyana 592 News. We are picking up this coverage out of them. This is their reporting. Little Guyana 592 News. Here are the folks from Port Morant Market.
Okay, so yes, we're back here on Little Guyana 592 News at the Port Morant Market. Who you got first? We have a few we have a few vendors who are here who are very upset about the performance of some of our elected officials. Now, it does not mean we are attacking the elected officials, but we want the vendors want them to. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Auntie. What's your name? Yes. Just tell us your concerns right now. That is on your mind. Pull on your mask. Pull on. Is this okay?
I want Thursday market Friday night to Saturday.
Why?
Because not when you come here at all, you produce a lot in our sale. When you get Thursday market, you come Thursday, people buy them down. All in load left. If you reach late, all load left. I just come Friday night and sell Friday, Saturday, and market is go good. And everybody just sell. And it doesn't get nothing left, man. With all this load right there. And this not one thing, two time, I was this market plenty time.
Yeah, because I remember since last year this issue, so nobody is reaching out to. You go to the NDC and what happened? They had a meeting there, or and what was the outcome of the meeting?
They promised to stop the Thursday market, and there's no reward until now. We need this Thursday market to stop. It's affecting a lot of vendors.
Somebody else?
Because when now you buy the load Thursday, remember the load of it Wednesday. You gotta continue sell till Saturday. You understand? Some of the load is damaged. You cannot make a profit. You run at a loss. And then the supplement. Remember Thursday they come in the market 1 o'clock in the night. You have to buy the load. Then during the day there is no market. You sit down like a statue. Nobody come in and buy it. Understand? We the vendor from Blackbush Polar, we come in and make a living. You understand? And we can't buy this load from stores. You pick and choose it, and you gotta sell it till Saturday. We are the losers, and we want the Thursday market to stop Thursday and Friday as early as possible. If the Friday and the Saturday market is okay, but not the Thursday market.
And nobody not come to nothing. Nobody.
Yeah, because remember, we just spend our money and to get back your money. Look, so far they forget. So far. Then you be at the last. You last your labor, you last your time. And the wholesalers, they come, the farmers, they come sell together with you. And when them sell together with you, you make no profit. You understand? You make no profit.
Yes, Uncle. What's your name?
So we want it immediately.
So tell us what's your concern. Wait, Auntie. And you had some concerns about the Blackbush Road too. You want to mention that here? Yes, go ahead. Talk about the road.
The Blackbush immediately attendance because they going to fast. Now the chassis them a jam. The chassis them a jam and the meters are on the road. Supposing now the rain fall and the chassis jam and the bus stop over, you know how many lives lasted? There is nothing concerned about what this government looking after. Nothing. Nothing. We are like slaves in Blackbush. They need something to be done in the whole right now. Road without stone. Everybody. The road is street and everybody and the food in the market.
Yes, uncle.
Nothing. Blackbush people
First of all, to mention with the minister them, the only one want to be the look after the market vendors when weakness and the people who miss the weakness. Flood relief, everything what will come and walk around stop to the nothing. And I have
Did you receive any flood relief?
this vendor will give me for
2.5 acre land.
all man, they promise, they make promise. I got tell them people this. The black food trade when me go and get me minibus, bad condition. Then I make nothing, then I do nothing. I tell them.
Like 148, she must live.
Oh, that's very sad. You're hearing the.
Nothing.
Yes, auntie.
And then I do not know black bush people see a road condition. Big hole. But all over in there. From 10 to 1 to all about the dead and look the black bush people. Nothing at all and look the black bush people. And with that they were looted, they were get vote a black bush. Everybody said no street, no road, no vote. Then children got to hit the grand people, they got to hide them here. Tell them a school or wash them foot and give them clothes to wear. Because if you walk up on road bad, street bad. Just picking a walk things to go school. And then I do nothing. I patrol there and maybe go in and see what am I on the patch and what am I doing, what am I doing. Nothing at all and I do to black people. Nothing. And then I come promise you and then fail for the promise. When the president come and see what you gonna do. I want him to come and see what you gonna do because they're all over and he's not come to Blackbush to see what happened in Blackbush. Now only voting I just see president man.
Come, auntie, come.
First of all, my name is Janak Unidas, living at Belvedere. I want to see some minister with that. I have a license place there, and I'll another place I get license myself. And they must come check me, please. That's what I want to give them. I'll give them the message. And they must come here and vote us place, and I'm sharp out, chase them out. Because then I look after nothing. All of them were there, and this year waste time. Good.
Yep. Folks, that is information on that front. Y'all hear what's happening there? That is what's happening on that front.
Nothing at all. Let the president come and see what he do. And agriculture minister one this market doesn't there. Everybody come down and
Come close.
and Thursday market doesn't there. And market is good now then get Thursday, then get Friday, and Saturday when you come here done.
Well, somebody is saying here that many of the residents here voted for these officials.
Yes, I put them there. And then I do nothing for me. Nothing then I do. Put them there. They got to come out and stop the market and see what you do for me. Market Friday night and Saturday. Let them come and see what they got to get Thursday market for wholesale and stuff. Friday night for wholesale and Saturday.
Folks,
Is there some market committee here? Or?
folks, that is just this morning. That is just this morning at Port Morant Market. That is just this morning. Vendors at Port Morant Market. You see, this is what we have been saying here, that you could talk the largest budget ever and the biggest budget ever from now till next year. If the people on the ground don't feel it, they don't feel the services of the government. then what is the purpose? All we get to do is put into print. Biggest budget ever. Biggest budget ever. But the people are suffering, this small man. The folks on the ground suffering, folks. And that is why we ask you to share this live stream that others get the valid and credible information. You cannot say we are involved in propaganda. This is the truth. Little Guyana News does exceptional work in these areas here, whether at home here in Guyana or in the diaspora, covering issues. They usually give a lot of attention to Region 5, Region 6, and the issues in those regions. And this is Little Guyana News, unaffiliated with our broadcast, our international podcast, talking to the vendors on the ground, going to the people, hearing from them. And this is what they're telling them. You heard the comments. This administration has failed us. The elected officials don't care about us. You heard them saying that this is an issue that persists over a year now. What are the trenchies going to say? What are the trench crappers going to say? What are the jacobats going to say today? This is directly from the people themselves, the vendors who are affected, who don't feel as though their livelihoods are being improved. This is what the people talking about. Things tight, folks. Things tight. Things are tight. This ain't no joke. You know, lots of folks being in the diaspora, you might not have a full sense. You gotta be living here and feeling it. Just the other day, we played Crabman for you. In his own voice, Crabman said, pressure, pressure, pressure bus pipe. That's what the vendors there at the Port Morant market are feeling. Pressure. Right. You heard them saying people are buying, people are coming around. Who's sharing the damn live stream today, Saturday? Who's gonna smash that emoji button? We want to see how you guys are feeling about these issues out there across social media. And we welcome each and every one of you. Those are joining us via Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, YouTube. Ensure you follow those pages you guys are joining us from. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is what is happening right out here. And while the administration going to stamp it in the National Assembly and say, oh, everybody please and nice. Is that what they were telling us? Rosignal people happy that they in, and Bushrat people happy that they in, and Black Bush Polar people happy that they in, and everybody happy. But when you go on the ground and you talk to the people, that is not true. That's not true. When you talk to the people on the ground, they have a different impression, a vastly different impression, a vastly different impression. Things are tight, things are hard, and people want answers. But they ain't getting answers. They ain't getting answers. You heard vendor after vendor who admitted. You heard that? They admitted we vote for them. We vote for them. You understand why the people are not interested in local government elections right now? You understand why they're not interested in local government elections right now? And we may never see back local government elections as long as they're in power, because they were in power. And for almost 20 years, we never had local government elections, something that is constitutionally due. 1992, the PP came into office. There was local government elections, or there were local government elections held in 1994. And up until they demitted office, voted out of office by the people in 2015, there were no local government elections held. We're 18 months into this new installed regime, and local government elections were supposed to be held last year. You understand why they're running from local government elections? And whether you talk with people in Region 2 and Regina and so forth, they say the same thing. We can't wait for local government elections to come. But teach them a lesson. They forgot the people. They have forgotten the people. They have become too accustomed to their borrowed robes. They stay in their big AC vehicles, the gas guzzlers, and their big fancy office, wearing all the most expensive Gucci and Prada clothes that they go overseas and buy. You think they're going to buy at Port Royal Market? It's a shame to face the vendors. No. Them people going to Las Vegas, and what the fancy place name in New York? You think the first lady going wrong by Port Morant Market and buy she dresses. So no, 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 no. Saks Fifth Avenue and Van, what's the place name in US? Van Arpels and something, man. The fancy name place. You know what's the shoes in Van Arpel? 5,000 US. 6,000 US. You know what the price of them handbags in them places? You think them vendors in Port Morant Market could come to one of the first ladies' tea party and pay $50,000 a ticket? Pressure! Pressure. And you heard from them themselves, directly from them. Pressure. Pressure. Right? But the local government minister more focused on denigrating and degrading, lambasting and debasing our women in the National Assembly to be focused on the plight of the people. And you know, the Port Morant vendors ain't got 500,000 US to get a meeting with the VP to get any special privileges. So they can feel pressure. Right? They ain't got $500,000 US. Right? He open door policy don't extend to them. Right? If people take a walk around Port Morant Market, man. Vice President, you say you got the open door policy, but like the door don't open, the door don't open by Port Morant Market. The people saying pressure, pressure, right? And of course, things tight. If you put together all them vendors that they ain't got 500,000 US to get no special meeting with anybody, right? They ain't got $5,000, $500,000 US, right? They ain't got them kind of money. They say you have forgotten them. 18 months in. 18 months in. Man, look, if we telling a lie, y'all call local government election, man. If we telling a lie on y'all, and y'all three biggest budgets ever doing nice for the people, call local government elections, man. Call local government elections and let the chip fall where they may. Right? I'm sure y'all gonna walk away like me with 30 love, 65 love. Y'all doing so well, 65 love. Y'all gonna walk away with. Call local government election. Y'all carry all the NDCs. How much NDCs they got? Right? They got plenty. Y'all gonna walk away with everything because it's nice time on the halls. That's all. Nice time. Sue tell me that. Sue says nice time. According to Isabel Young. Sue says it's nice time. Nice time. So y'all call local government elections and let the chip fall where they may. Let the chips. We ain't talking about planting chips, the chips, them big chips. Them $500,000 US chips and so on. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may. I want to talk with MP Ganesh Mahi Paul and some of those issues. And Sugate, folks. folks, Stabroek News wasn't easy this morning on Sugate. Stabroek News was not easy on Sugate at all. And the half has not been told. We're going to be discussing some of that with MP Ganesh Mahi Paul. Y'all think it's easy? Far from easy. Folks, get your popcorn and your cokes. The show's about to start. Get your popcorn and your cokes. You see when that Sugate documentary bus? Oh, it's more pressure. Pressure. Interestingly, last night, I cannot confirm. So we put an asterisk over this. But I think the vice president's vehicle and entourage was spotted by the Chinese embassy last evening. I think Vice President Barjaglio's convoy, his 500 bodyguards and 600 vehicles were spotted by the Chinese embassies late last night. There were some late last night meetings. Them boys like the comparing notes. Right? Folks, shit is about to go down. Sorry, fecal matter is about to go down. That might be more palatable with some folks. Right? There was a colleague of mine said the S is about to hit the fan. The stuff is about to hit the fan. Fecal matter, folks, is about to hit the fan. Who's sharing this damn live stream this Saturday morning, folks? We below the belt. Who fex lose? And I'm privileged. We're going to be joined very shortly by MP Ganesh Mahi for pressure. Let me see if we get Ganesh to come in. And I know Ganesh is I think he's in Wakenham enjoying the beauty of that fantastic little island, as well as reaching out to some of the folks there. We got to go to the people, We got to go to the people. That's what we got to do. We got to go to the people. And it's only because we went to the people, we are hearing what we are hearing coming out of Port Morant. We're privileged to have the one and only, the Honorable Member of Parliament. When we say Honorable Member of Parliament, we use the term loosely sometimes, But in this case, It's true. The Honorable Member of Parliament, Ganesh Mahipal, who is the Shadow Minister for Local Government and Regional Development. Ganesh, I don't know if you've been following before we invited you in, but the folks by Port Morant Market saying the government failed them, Ganesh. Failed them. Talk to us. Talk to us.
The government, what I hear you clearly, where I am, there's heavy rainfall.
The folks, the vendors at Port Morant Market says they feel neglected by the government. They vote them in, but they got lots of problems. People are buying, people are shopping, lots of problems relating to the market. They say they feel neglected and that the government has failed them and they're voting back for
The
them.
entire Guyana, Shara, the entire Guyana has been hoodwinked by this installed regime. And everybody is feeling it. Everybody is recognizing that they made a great mistake by putting an X towards the PPP. But we know that indeed they may have gotten some votes, but we are not running away from the fact that it's an election that they have stolen. It's an election that has caused them to be installed by fraudulent means. We all know that the coalition really won the elections on valid votes. Unfortunately, with the collusion of other forces, these people were installed, and the majority of the country is now feeling the squeeze based on their manner of leadership and their manner of policy and direction for a country that is expected to boom. I was just having a chat with a concerning this oil and gas conference, to which the opposition was basically excluded completely without any formal invitation to attend the open ceremony. And you have this cabal talking about one Guyana. You have them talking about a unified Guyana, and their actions differ. Their actions differ significantly from bringing to the people a one Guyana. They are sitting in the driving seat, unfortunately, but they are not doing anything to keep themselves in the driving seat. Every act of theirs is questionable. Questionable in the sense that they're doing it with an intent to separate our people, to divide our country, and to basically make us poorer than we are. And one would have thought that with the finding of oil, the resources of oil coming into our country, the small man would have become the real man. But the small man is now becoming poorer by the day.
Correct.
Especially with this increased cost of living.
Correct.
And taking into account the government's callous behavior and total disrespect to local democracy, regional democracy, and national democracy. It is an abominable act on the part of this regime, and Guyanese must be informed. They must continue to know, keep track of current affairs, and when the next elections come around, do the right thing, do the conscionable thing, ensuring that you vote on policy, on direction, on good governance, and not on race.
Exactly. And you know, the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, who should be on the ground really and truly trying to alleviate the sufferings of the Guyanese people, he seemed distracted. He seems distracted on issues that he should not be distracted on, like dildos and so on. But maybe he had a precursor that this regulation at GRA was about to be lifted, and he was excited, right? Because he's not focused on the plight of the people. You know, you said it, Ganesh. We pumping, but we ain't feeling it. You know, we pumping oil, and ExxonMobil told us yesterday in this second phase they have struck first oil, more oil, but the money, Ganesh, people aren't feeling it, and that's what the vendors at Port Moran saying. While we have Dharmlal in the National Assembly talking about all kinds of things, let me give you one of the comments of the minister that you shadow, that you have the privilege, Ganesh, of shadowing. Listen to him in the National Assembly. In the National Assembly, listen to him.
The reason why this figure was higher in you gotta get dildo. That's what you're looking for. There were snacks that had to be supplied to the team that distributed the COVID cash grant, so that is why the figure was so high last year.
Wow. Well, if a member of the National Assembly just inquiring about the spending and the proper administration of the country's finances need a dildo, what you can tell the people at Port Morant Market this morning. And while you are shadowing this minister Ganesh, here's another gem from that minister in that very sitting. Here's another gem, again addressing another member of the National Assembly. Another gem, Ganesh. Take a listen.
Mr. Chairman, I had the indignity of being in Bad Settlement, where my grandma, where my mother is from, and that same young lady, the Honorable Natasha Singh, sorry, a relatively elderly looking Natasha Singh.
Honorable Minister, we're getting a bit personal now. Please, let us continue
Well, I was
with.
saying young and they didn't
Honorable
want me to
Minister,
say-
let's continue with providing the information on the roads
Mr. Chairman,
in the two
Mr. Chairman,
NDCs, which.
a relative of Honorable Natasha Singh Lewis.
Honorable
Yep,
Minister,
yep, yep,
please,
yep.
please.
That's the honorable minister. Honorable. Say we use the word loosely. We use the word loosely. Too many times we use it loosely. Ganesh, your thoughts? Your thoughts?
Well, I would put his behavior and his attitude in the National Assembly in one sentence, and that is, you never put a little boy to do a big man's job. When you do that, what you are doing is creating the road in which we are currently on with his guidance and his leadership. It is like having a little boy doing a big man's job. And that's very unfortunate for our country. His behavior is very much uncalled for indeed. It's unfortunate that he was attacking the female members of parliament on our side. And it is in that light that I believe that some disciplinary measure should have been taken from the standpoint of the Speaker of the House to bring some degree of calmness or resolution to the ongoing battling opposition members of Parliament face. You know, it is without a doubt that the debates we had in the National Assembly, the coalition won it hands down. All the members of Parliament on the coalition side dissected the budget, brought out the hidden facts, brought out the weaknesses of this, what they term as the largest budget, and proved to the ordinary Guyanese people that absolutely nothing in budget 2022 for them. And I want to expand on why I use the word nothing, because one may want to say that there is an increase in terms of the disposable income with the income tax threshold being increased, the old age pension being increased smallly, the every child getting, I think, $15,000. One may say that there are things there for the people, but I am saying that there is nothing, because when you equate the increase to what cost of living is at right now, when you equate the increase that they have given to what the people are faced with in reality, they have gotten nothing. They have gotten absolutely nothing. Because with that increase that all they will be doing is paying off debt that they have incurred for the past year when there was this increase in cost of living. And now that they will have to go and purchase basic food items and essentials, they still will not have disposable income in their pocket to use for pleasurable moments, if I may use it that way, in terms of entertaining their family, recreational activities, social engagement. There is no money in the budget that can go to them for them to put aside for that purpose. So that is why I'm saying, Sarah, there was absolutely nothing in 2022 for Guyanese people.
Fantastic, Ganesh. I think the country knows that. Well, picking up on this Darmlal story, I saw one organization isn't having it and calling for Darmlal to be disciplined among the organizations I've seen thus far. And I wanna direct your attention. Just trying to pull up my notation at this end here. I want to direct your attention to one of the letter columns in the Daily News, and it is Alexis Stevens who says that we, the Sisters of Mercy and Associates in Guyana, condemn in no uncertain terms the minister's statement and his behavior. We also note with dismay and deep concern that the Speaker of the National Assembly did not upbraid Minister Dharmalal for his dildo comment. Neither did any of his colleague ministers. The fact that the minister's comment went unchecked by the Speaker points to a dangerous normalization of violence against women MPs and a total disregard for parliamentary norms. Ganesh.
Yes, I think I also saw that Anog
Well,
is
I was
calling
coming
for
down. I
him
was
to be
coming down.
removed.
Yep. Go
Is
ahead,
calling
Ganesh.
for him to be removed from the National Assembly because of his uncouth behavior. At the end of the day, Sherrod, let's look at it from a perspective of human being, of him being a human being. One would have thought himself would have recognized that he is being beaten for this behavior and this style and out of order towards females and our female MP. And one would have expected him as a human being to take the high ground and offer you an apology and attempt to change his modus operandi in the house so that he can, can be cognizant of the fact which we are all subject to. But instead what we saw is something purported to be an apology. In my view, there was no genuinity in that. And the next day, we heard him continuing to heckle and continuing to make comments that I will say are still loose and out of order. So there is no remorse on his side. There is no action on his side that sends a signal that he is willing to make a change. There is no action on his side that he's accepted. He erred and will like to go forward and will like to turn a new leaf or extend an olive branch for one to at least accept him and forgive him for his action. There's nothing of the sort on his part. So he is genuinely, in my view, not sorry for what he did. And in view of that, he should face the full brunt of condemnation and public call for him to be removed as a minister and a member of parliament.
Yep, and just picking up on the Anug note for more clarity. This is a new and united Guyana party. Picking up some of the information out of Stabroek News, two of the paragraph reads: a new and united Guyana, Anug, today calls for the removal of Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Dharmalal, over his dildo remark in Parliament last week. Anug, which is one of the three parties holding a seat in Parliament, said such behavior has no place among the leadership of this country. Ganesh.
Exactly. It has none. We are in a different era. We are in a dispensation where a number of young people are tuned into our current affairs. School children are looking at us for guidance and leadership. A number of school-age children and adolescents paying attention to what is happening nationally in our country, and we cannot expose them to that kind of lewd, crude, and vile behavior. For that, we must show leadership by doing what is necessary.
Indeed, Ganesh, indeed. And then, of course, Dharmalal is distracted from the plight of the people there in Port Moran. Sadly so. And then it seems the vice president too. He is very, very distracted by what has consumed much of the country in the last few days. Sugate, in which, again, sitting down quite recently with Vice Media Group's reporter and journalist Isabel Young, the allegation was put to him that he takes bribes from Chinese contractors for them to secure some of these huge mega contracts. Allegations which he denied. And I've seen a number of persons, including people like Kit Nascimento, who has been pledging fealty to the credibility and integrity of the vice president, come out. But apparently Stabroek News ain't buying this. Stabroek News seems not to be buying any of this at all. And Stabroek News says Something is up here. And Ganesh, I want to just quote some parts of the editorial just this morning on, according to Stabroek News, the head of the editorial is Vice and the VP. Vice and the VP. And I'm going to put just some of what Stabroek News said to you, Ganesh, and get a reaction from you on some of this. This is what Stabroek News said this morning. This is Stabroek News, folks. It's not New Nation. It's not the key. It's not, any of what they would call propaganda and bias and all of that. It's not the opposition. Stabroek News. This is Stabroek News. In one portion of that editorial, to see our vice president fumbling for words the other evening in his interview with Vice Media was not pretty. His typical press conference begins with a 2-hour monologue touching every issue, many of which are outside his chief cook and bottle washer portfolio. Local media operators tolerate these because much of them are genuinely intimidated by Mr. Jaglio, who has described them as vultures, barred one senior reporter from his press conference, and pulled state advertisement rather from this newspaper. A second portion of the editorial reads thus: First, we should accept that Vice Media came to Guyana armed with some information slash evidence about or provided by Mr. Sue and wanted to confront Mr. Jaglio. It is not likely they simply said, let's go fishing for a news story in Guyana and happened to stumble upon Mr. Sue. Nor is it likely they made this all up. This is further reinforced by the fact that they are said to have only interviewed one other government official, made a brief visit to Madia prior to the Jaglio interview, and left shortly. MP Ganesh Maipol.
Well, I can tell you something. I watched back the interview in full, and what caused me to laugh, and what caused me to really I had a good laugh, Sharon. When the young lady said, let's talk about some personal individuals or something of the sort. And then she asked, what is your relationship with Mr. Sue? I can't remember the last name. But when the woman said that, I could have literally seen Jaglio's face fallen from grace. His jaws fell.
Sue?
His eyelids fell. It's like everything just fell, and he was like, Sue? Who Sue? You know, it caused me to laugh. But there is more seriousness to this. It shows that the people out there beyond the borders of Guyana are well informed as to what is happening in our country. And they have information of corruption and information of skullduggery practice that is happening in our country. And they want that opportunity to confront and expose. I am not sure if Jaglio is going to sit again with another person from the outside world to speak on Guyana, because perhaps the amount of things he is involved in, he is afraid of them knowing it and them exposing it. But if he is bold enough to say that he is not associated with any form of corruption, then invite all the other media houses around the world, let them come and sit with you. And let them drill you. And let them tell you what is it that they know, and you defend it. And do good well with the Mr. Sue matter. The Mr. Sue name is a big name. Everybody loves Sue right now. But I'm sure that there are more. All that we have to do is to ensure that it gets out there to show the duplicity, the hypocritical behavior, the malevolent acts of this regime that is controlled basically by the VP, and ensure our people become knowledgeable so that their choice at the next election will be one of firm conviction and nothing else but the coalition is the way to go, the AP and USC.
Yep. Indeed, Ganesh, indeed. And I want to direct you to another portion of this editorial in this morning's Stabroek News. And again, we like to pick these independent sources so we don't get the charge of bias and propaganda and all of that, unless they can say no Stabroek News, in the opposition camp. Because by virtue of being who we are as parliamentarians, we get painted with the brush of being biased and so forth and such. But here's another portion of the editorial from Stabroek News just this morning, and it reads, and he, Jaglio, has hinted that this is some conspiracy driven by U.S. policy to combat the influence of China in Guyana and Latin America. In the process, he threw his foreign minister and cabinet colleague under the bus by claiming that the Taiwan office idea was Mr. Todd's alone, and that he only learned about it in the newspapers. This is some savage humiliation, but one doubts Mr. Todd would resign in principle. It goes on to read in another section of that editorial just this morning. It is also hard to fathom the supposed motivation for Mr. Su to claim his role as a middleman and how Vice spoke to him or otherwise. Mr. Su has since denied making such claims and is engaging his lawyers. He has not denied speaking with Vice Media. The editorial goes on. There remains serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects are being considered. For example, we have learned that negotiations with the Chinese bidder for the new Demerara Harbor Bridge have broken down over financing terms, even as Minister Edgil, admitted the costs will go up. This controversy only complicates matters. Stabroek News editorial just this morning, Vice and the VP. MP Ganesh Maipur.
Well, Sherrod, that editorial tells us all what really is happening in Guyana. If one is to conclude that the government has created a pathway to enhance their corruption, you will not be wrong for making that conclusion, because all their actions seem to have some degree of corruption embedded in it. And it is at its worst right now. And I will only maintain the very message I said to you earlier. The people of Guyana ought to listen. The people of Guyana ought to pay attention. The PPP has tried to indoctrinate Guyanese into believing that the coalition is bad. I remember in that 2015 elections when we were campaigning, they were basically sending a message to the people that the coalition is so bad. It's like bringing back the PNC, flour gone ban again, rights you can't get it as you like, ducks who gonna kick down door, and what they gonna do to your children, and then that kind of low life kind of campaigning is what they were basing their arguments on. And they continued with indoctrination to try to get the people to believe that the PNC, the AFC, and the APNU is this bad set of people. But they have 5 years of the coalition without oil resource, and they now have again. They have to draw a conclusion and sensibly make a deduction that is reasonable and based on issues, based on a direction that you want to see the country going. The successes of the coalition is based on the foundation that they laid in 2015 and 2016. And we were on a trajectory of building this country for the future generation. We were not making no 5-year plan, We were not making no 10-year plan. We were looking at longevity. We were looking at years ahead where our children and grandchildren will have a proud Guyana to say that their parents or their seniors would have fought to put it where it is for their benefit. That is the direction the coalition was going. You see this third oil and gas thing that is going on there, that conference, it is because of the foundation of the coalition that the coalition laid. The foundation that we laid is right now reaping the fruits from the tree that was planted on good soil. But the PPP, they want to throw fertilizer around the roots of the tree and pick out all the fruits and kill the tree very quickly. It's get rich quick and die early syndrome. That is what I see them fighting for, as opposed to sustainability and as opposed to preserving what is Guyana's for the future generation. We are living in a time of fear. We are living in a time of fright. We are living in a time of basically us as a people not knowing what tomorrow holds because of the state the country is in with this regime. Crime is on the increase. Cost of living is getting higher by the day. And everything for tomorrow is us wondering what it will be. We don't want a country like that. We want a stable country. We want a country that can promise us a brighter tomorrow. We want a country that can deliver to us a brighter tomorrow. We want a country with sound governance policies and good leaders that are grounded in understanding the importance of preserving and sustaining for the future generation. And we can only get that by removing the PPP and ensuring the people who started it, the coalition, returns to office.
Yep. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Unfortunately, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Well, you know, after the Osu interview and all of that, Irfan Ali was asked for a comment. And he dug in his heels defending his vice president, who is his superior. Now, of course, based on all we've said with Stabroek News, them buying it, right? This is Irfan, on the sidelines of a army event that was happening at the time when the question was posed to him. This is Irfan. Just giving you a little bit of it, and then I'm going to try to get Ganesh's reaction on the other side. Irfan being Irfan.
Tell me which project. Tell me one project. It was released of an interview between the vice president and a vice news journalist, and then there were a lot of reports of allegations of corruption and government officials taking bribe for the secure or for contracts. What? I don't know about a lot of reports. So can you give me the reports? In the press. What reports you talking about? All the no. You are a reporter, and you're telling me that you saw a report. Tell me what report. Tell me which project. Tell me one project. It was reported that the vice president. So I'm going to ask you a question now. I heard that you are paid. I heard that you are paid by a special interest group to get a specific type of report in your newspaper. Is it true? Is it not true, sir? Exactly. Exactly. It's an exactly. So I'm asking you, sir. It's an allegation. Of course, my government is above board, but I'm just saying this to say how sensational people are just doing things with sensational headline. Okay. I can ask you. An allegation is made that last night you removed a light from a car.
Ganesh, I don't think he did himself any favors there. I don't think he did the vice president any favors as well. Sugate spirals on.
Red herring. Irfan is just trying to pull a red herring on us here, trying to distract us from the issue at hand. And I am going to call on all your listeners to stay focused and know that happening in our country. The Sioux issue is an alive issue, and not easily we must get to the bottom of it, and the truth must come forward. At least I have not heard any kind of proper message from the government or the vice president trying to say or debunk these allegations. So one is left to conclude that it has the truth behind it.
Indeed, Ganesh. Indeed. Ganesh, I want to thank you for spending this time with us today. Osu. Osu. Folks, this is far from over. We haven't gotten the Vice News reporters yet on this issue, and we know that they do some mini documentaries on these issues. We haven't gotten that report, and Isabel Young herself tweeted on Twitter just last week that she said we seem to have touched a nerve, Ganesh. She seemed to have touched a nerve. Sugate continues. Thanks for joining us, Ganesh.
Thank you for having me, Sherrod. Thank you very much for having me.
It was our privilege. Folks, there you have it. Thanks very much, Ganesh. Sugate spirals on, folks. Sugate. Osu. Who named Sue? Osu?
We have restarted the land titling program in the country of ensuring that
Osu.
So they had rights over the foreign place or in our policemen, such in that's medical doctor. at an indigenous party
Usu.
or even globally in a short.
People say what they want you to say. Trying to find the issue for you. Trying to find the story for you. Who Sue? Oh, Sue? Who Sue? Who named Sue? Who named Sue? Who named Sue? The man said he know who named Sue. I want to find it for you. Gotta play it back for you guys.
I comment. It's not reasonable to ask me to comment on something that I don't know about, so and that is false.
You don't know how Sue makes this money.
Just advise him not to do so. He transferred a property that is worth about 30 million US dollars for 20 million. That would be about 100,000 US dollars. Transfer title. We've charged him. We pay. If they don't supply, we don't pay. We don't have a loan on our books for that. So this is the falsehood that's going on.
Everybody
I don't
wants
know where
to know
you got that.
Who Sue? Well, we can say who Sue. Folks, this thing continues to spiral. It continues to spiral. Who Sue? We're happy that you guys have joined us today. More than happy that you guys have joined us. And we're gonna know who Sue. Right? We heard it all for ourselves. This matter is gonna continue. We're gonna continue to bring this to you guys. We're gonna continue to bring this information to you guys.
That did not the agreement that they wanted here. Maybe they're the ones who told you, or it could be just a fictitious thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sue Jerome?
Sue. Oh, Sue. My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place. Yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes. Yes. He is a friend of ours. His father was here from many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he lives next door to you.
Yes.
You know, he was able to arrange meetings and catch-ups with you at any point in the day. He claims
as a friend, yeah.
He claims that through his very close relationship with you, he's able to get any deal done.
Well, I don't know
and
if that's
able to change laws for investors.
But then which law has been changed for any investor?
So Sue told us that if you want to get anything done in Ghana, you need some hookups. I'm very close with the Vice President and the other officials. The Vice President and I share a very close relationship. Also, if we do the business, he'll help out no matter what.
Folks, this matter continues. It continues. Who Sue? Who Sue? That's the question being asked. Who Sue? Everybody want to know. Who Sue? Folks, it's been our privilege having each and every one of you today on our international podcast, Below the Belt, as we examine Sue Gate and Darmlal Gate and all the other gates. Sue Gate, folks, Stabroek News just this morning saying there remains serious allegations. These remain serious allegations at a time when large infrastructural projects are being considered. Good to see you, Spurrily. Who Sue? 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 Who Sue? Mohammed Fraud. Who Sue? Brenda Braffett. Who Sue? Who is Sue? Who Sue? Pamela Sanchari. Who Sue? Marilyn Thomas. Who Sue? Folks, we can't do these programs without you. We cannot. So as you are on the podcast, hundreds of you, why don't you share the podcast? Why don't you smash that emoji button today? Nigel John, Sue, Usu, Stacy Mattis, Usu. Good to have each and every one of you on our program today, folks. You know, we have several platforms available that you guys can contribute so we can keep our work moving ahead. And you all know in the months ahead, I can't brace the program by myself because I've been suspended from the National Assembly. Them boys cut my pay and all from the National Assembly. But we got to continue to do what we got to do, folks. We got to continue to do what we got to do. We got several platforms available, and we've said here countless times, every cent you send to us, go directly to these programs to keep them going, to get you the valid and credible information at the Cash App platform. Our Cash App handle is $sign in the ring 592 at the Cash App platform. It's $sign in the ring 592 at PayPal and Zelle. It's the same email address, in the ring 592 at gmail.com. In the ring 592 at gmail.com. At the local Cash App, the GT&T MMG system, our number is 627-6963, 627-6963. And we're also available via MoneyGram and Western Union. Need any guidance on these platforms, folks? The WhatsApp number you wanna send a message to is that same MMG number, 627-6963. That's our time, folks. Over this weekend, find some time for yourself, some time for self-care, some time for reflection. Be gentle with yourself this weekend. We're going to see you right back here tomorrow for another podcast. Below the belt, Vexlos. Thanks for joining us, Joylyn Cook, and you see John Prasad and all the other folks joining us, Lizzie Simon and Rita Singh, Gordon Smith, and Richard Finance. Good to see you, Wendy, Roland, and all the other folks joining us from around the world, Gemma George inclusive, and Andrew John and Samuel Mingo. Thanks for joining our international podcast, guys. See you back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you as well, MP Ganesh Maipal, for spending this time with us and bringing some context to these variety of issues, folks. Thanks for joining us, one and all. Right back here tomorrow. Pace and power in 2022. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe. Stay safe. We love all of you. Be gentle with yourselves. Stay safe.